What a headshot! What a head!
How's it guys, this is Dayvy, FPL, and welcome back to the Fantasy Premier League video here on my channel. Now in this video, I'll be taking you guys through my ultimate guide to the upcoming single game week 24. So yes, a single game week, we're having a break from these doubles and these blanks, but don't worry, a lot of doubles and blanks coming up. I'm going to mention those in this ultimate guide. We've got a section dedicated to my updated chip strategy, as well as a chip strategy that I think you guys can make use of. But don't worry, all the usual talking points are going to be in this ultimate guide. I'm going to start off the video with the stats review. That's where I go over the best attacking and defensive teams over the entire season, as well as the last 6 game weeks. I'm also going to talk about the transfer of Kevin De Bruyne to Mo Salah this week, so not holding it off till double game week 25, actually doing that transfer this week and the pros and cons of that decision. And then finally, as we usually go over the captaincy debate, where we might actually be going for Erling Haaland, and I'll talk about why at the end of the video. So that's something I was interested in. Sit back, relax, and let's get straight into it. So going over the stats review, as I mentioned, for the entire season as well as for the last 6 game weeks. Now I will mention that some teams have actually played 7 game weeks, and the reason for that is that we have had some double game weeks, have had some blank game weeks. So I decided to go for the last 6 to 7 games instead of the last 5 to 6. Now before we get into the stats review, I want to give you guys an update of the FPL website. If you guys have not seen, but today they dropped a new update to the website, and now you can actually get these stats such as XG, XG conceded, XA, all on your FPL website as well. Now as far as I know, the app hasn't had this update, but if you guys do use the website version, you'll be able to see all these stats on the website. Now massive move in terms of the stats world being integrated into FPL, so it is nice to see that they are kind of recognizing the stats. Now you guys can go compare kind of Fixtures version to the FPL version, as I do think they are using different XG providers. But don't worry, I'll be going over Fantasy Football Fixtures, XG, XG conceded. But as I always say, if you guys want to get simply any stat, go over to their website and use their Opta Stat Sandbox. So I'm going to start off this video, we're going to talk about the attacking stats first. You guys know that the stat I use for attacking is going to be XG non-penalty. This obviously is the non-penalty variant of XG. Now over the entire season, we have had some teams that have had massive defenses. The one that has surprised me though is Liverpool Assets, as they have the second best attack this Premier League season, but are sitting in about 10th. Now what I will add is that if you guys are looking to bring in those Liverpool Assets, they've had great XG. So from an attacking point of view, I don't see any reason why you shouldn't go for them. But the best attacking team is going to be Man City, 2.03, that's basically 2 expected goals per game, which is simply outstanding if you guys do own those Man City attackers. We always talk about that kind of high ceiling of those Man City attackers. They just have to start like we saw with Riyad Mahrez in game week 23. Now coming in third is going to be those Arsenal Assets, also a great attack to go for. And then we have Brighton, Newcastle and Brentford. Now I want you guys to pay close attention to those Brighton and those Brentford assets, because we're going to mention them later in the video when we talk about those upcoming double game weeks. Now going over the last 6 or 7 game weeks, these are going to be per game averages, so don't worry, the fact that they've played 7 games instead of 6, it actually makes the stat more reliable as it averages over more fixtures. So in terms of the last 6 or 7 game weeks, Brighton are top with 2.14, making them the best attack over the last couple game weeks, but they have had some nice fixtures. Then Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool, pretty kind of expected, 3rd to 5th, but then we have United and Brentford as well. Now in terms of all these teams, a lot of us own these attackers anyway, especially those Arsenal, Man City options. But I can see a switch in formation with those Liverpool assets coming in for double game week 25. But as I always say, with the good, we got to have the bad, and these are going to be the top 5 worst attacks in the Prem over the entire season and the last 6 to 7 game weeks. The reason I want to cover this, as I always say, is that if you guys do have kind of defenders playing these teams, the chance of a clean sheet could be quite strong. Now I know with myself this week is kind of a benching headache. I have a lot of defenders to actually play, so this might come in handy if you guys are having those benching dilemmas. So for the entire season, Bournemouth are going to come in as the worst attack. A little bit kind of ironic there. That's the reason I played Kieran Trippier over a Luke Shaw, because that Bournemouth attack is terrible, but they even scored against them. But still, I would fancy my chances of a defender clean sheet against Bournemouth, as they only have 0.82 XG per game. Next up is going to be Southampton, Crystal Palace, Wolves, Everton, then finally Nottingham Forest, who are facing Man City in game week 24. Then going over the last 6 to 7 game weeks, we have Everton. So if your team is playing Everton, chance of a clean sheet should be quite strong. And we saw that in game week 23, where even Liverpool, one of the worst defenses this season, kept a clean sheet against them. We then have Southampton, Bournemouth, Crystal Palace, Wolves, and then finally Aston Villa. Now some surprises there, but generally most of these sides, we are avoiding them. And if you are looking to bring one of these assets, maybe think again, at least from an attacking point of view. Now going on to the defensive side of things, and this is going to be kind of XG conceded. This does include penalties, as I do think including penalties might be better from a defensive point of view, as it might show that they are susceptible to giving penalties away. Now in terms of the best defenses this Premier League season, it's going to be Man City at top, Arsenal close second, we then have Newcastle, Man United, West Ham, and finally Chelsea. So Chelsea have improved dramatically. I know that because I've owned Kepa, he's been racking up the clean sheets, so I see that he is on this list. Then those United assets have been defending quite well for us, Luke Shaw in particular. And the rest of them are pretty kind of understandable, Newcastle, Arsenal and Man City especially. The one thing I will note is that we do have West Ham there as the 5th best defense over this entire season, and we'll talk about them later as they are facing Spurs this weekend. Then going on to the last 6 to 7 game weeks, Man City yet again being top, which shows you that it's so important to have a Man City defender. Unfortunately, the kind of rotation does put me off them. But I do own Nathan Ake, and that might be a reason if I expect him to start against Nottingham Forest, I should probably put him on my starting 11. We then have Newcastle, super consistent, and please remember this, that over the last 6 to 7 game weeks as well as the entire season, Newcastle are a great defense and they do face Liverpool and Mo Salah in Game Week 24. We then have Brentford, a surprise kind of entry here, but Brentford have had some nice fixtures, but with that double coming up, you might want to bring one of the defenders. Then finally United, Chelsea and West Ham kind of rounding off the list, and I do already own a Man United and a Chelsea defender. So definitely if you guys want to target some defenses to go for, these are going to be the teams to do it, whereas the next kind of list isn't going to be where you want to look at. So the reason I'm covering this is because if you guys do have attackers facing these teams, you might want to even captain them because the chance of a haul is pretty reliable. So over the entire season, Fulham have been the worst defense, but not even Mason Mount. You get an attacking return against them. I'm not salty. I did transfer him out of my team for Murray, so I'm pretty happy with that, but I just wish that Chelsea played better against Fulham. Everton come up next to Liverpool, just having won 2-0, Mo Salah scoring. So it might have been a little bit expected for him to score in that one, but just remember, Sean Dyche is not the manager, so we might see a dramatic improvement in those stats. We then have Bournemouth, Liverpool, Nottingham Forest and Aston Villa. So if you guys still have assets facing Liverpool, you can still play them because they're pretty bad defensively. Then over the last 6 to 7 game weeks, you have Bournemouth up top. So if you guys did have this Newcastle attackers, would probably be quite happy if you started Almiron, but they're definitely a team to target. Same thing we said about Everton, however, as I mentioned, Sean Dyche just joining them. They might improve their defensive record, but in game week 23, they certainly didn't look that great. We then have Aston Villa, Liverpool, Leicester and finally Crystal Palace. So that Leicester fixture might be quite nice for those United assets. So if you have attackers facing these teams, definitely look to start them at least, as they simply are shipping goals. Now the next talking point, we're going to kind of get into our double/blank game week debate. And I actually realized that I haven't really spoken about double game week 27. So double game week 27 was actually confirmed last week. It's kind of slipped my mind and slipped the videos that we have covered, so I want to detail it and give you guys the fixtures. So there will be 4 teams that double in double game week 27 1 week before the big blank game week, which has thrown a little bit of a spanner in the works. So the first fixture that has moved to game week 27 is going to be Southampton versus Brentford, and that's going to result in a double game week for Brentford of Everton away and also Southampton away. Now you guys have just seen that Everton's defensive form isn't too great, but I'm willing to give them a few more game weeks just to see if they have improved dramatically. But Southampton also looking pretty shocking. They've actually just fired their new manager, so will there be a new manager bounce? Who kind of knows, but definitely Brentford assets are on my horizons. Obviously the team they're facing, Southampton, also have a double of United away and Brentford at home, but I probably won't go for too many of their assets. Now the other fixture that has moved to game week 27 is going to be Brighton versus Crystal Palace. That's going to give Brighton a double of Leeds away and Crystal Palace at home, which is pretty strong on paper. Then Crystal Palace have Man City at home and Brighton away, which I don't think is too attractive, and that's why I will be avoiding those Crystal Palace assets. But the 2 teams that I wanted you guys to focus on in the kind of review of the stats is Brentford and Brighton, because from an attacking point of view, they've been in the top 6 this entire season. So your Ivan Tonys, your Matomas, your Solly Marches, even maybe a Ferguson if he's back from that injury, could be absolute gold in double game week 27. We even saw that Brentford and Brighton have pretty strong defenses, so even those defensive options could be nice to get in for this upcoming double game week. But let me know in the comments down below, is this double kind of attractive for you? Definitely those Ivan Tonys and those Matomas are going to be quite hotly transferred in, but are there other differentials that you guys are considering? But now that we do have clarity about double game week 27 and what fixtures are going to be taking place, I want to give you guys an update on the chip strategy, my own chip strategy, as well as another one that you guys could potentially use. So the graphic I'm going to use is going to be none other than Mikkel Tokfim's diagram. I've taken this from his Twitter page, bottom right hand side, so go check him out, go follow him, because I really like this graphic. So with the update of double game week 27, you guys can now see that teams such as a Crystal Palace, a Brighton, a Brentford now have a 2 in game week 27, which means they have a confirmed double. Just a quick recap, if you guys don't know how this graphic works, anything from 1 to 2 is going to be a chance of a double game week, a 2 is a confirmed double, and then from 0 to 1 is going to be a chance of a blank, whereas a dash or a 0 is a confirmed blank game week. An example of this is go to game week 25, you can see right at top is going to be Arsenal, a 2 means they have a confirmed double, whereas you look at a Brighton, they have a dash, which means they have a confirmed blank. So the one strategy I want to talk to you guys about is going to be the potential to use the wild card a little bit earlier on than expected. If you guys do recall, we were potentially looking to use it between game week 30 and game week 33, but now that we have a double in 27, there's actually a chance of wild carding in 27 as well. Now the reason for that is obviously look at Brighton and Brentford, they have a chance of actually blanking in game week 28. So what's going to happen? You're going to have 2 assets from both those sides, then they blank in 28, but potentially double in 29. So you guys might say that you simply just want to use no wildcard and free it in game week 28. 100% that could be fine. But another strategy that could be quite nice is actually to wildcard in 27 and then free it in 28 and bench boost in 29. So let me just explain that again. You obviously can't really wildcard and free it in the same game week. So if you want to free it in game week 28, then you'll have to wildcard in 27. You'll load up on those Brighton assets, those Brentford assets. Keep hold of them for game week 29 where they might double again. But we should hopefully know the double game weeks in 29 as well. So then on that wildcard in 27, you can prepare for the game week 29 bench boost. It's a little bit complicated there, I do know, so if you have any questions, drop them in the comments down below. But as I always say, I always like to use the wildcard and the bench boost quite close together, because then you don't have to really carry a high value bench for many game weeks. Now just to recap what my current chip strategy is looking like, I'm potentially looking at wildcarding in game week 33, which I know is kind of the original plan we had anyways, but I think 33 might be slightly more attractive for me. But if game week 28 looks like the week that I might have to use the free it, then I might change to wildcarding in game week 27. So my current strategy is going to be using the wildcard in game week 33, using the bench boost probably game week 34, yet again kind of reminding you guys to keep that combination of the bench boost and the wildcard quite close together, and then probably free hitting in double game week 29 to get the best 11 as possible. I will therefore have to dead end into game week 28, which might be a decision to go for, because if I go for Brentford and Brighton assets, they're going to blank in game week 28, so I might actually go with less than 11 options into game week 28's blank. So I'm going to say this yet again, but it depends on how the fixtures look for game week 28. If they're very bad fixtures, for example, very kind of low value blank game week options, such as let's say Nottingham Forest versus Bournemouth, you don't really want either of those two teams. So therefore it might even be worth going with less than 11 options. But if I'm honest with you, I haven't really kind of planned out my chip strategy as of now. I think we have to know the blank game weeks and the doubles for at least the medium term before I kind of confirm my chip strategy. So keep your minds open in terms of your chips, and that's why I've shown you this new strategy. Let me know in the comments down below what your kind of chip strategy is currently looking like, and has this double game week 27 changed anything in your mind? Now the next talking point is going to revolve around a transfer, so we're going to go over the transfer plan for this one, and as mentioned in the introduction, it's De Bruyne out for Mo Salah. So I do think the majority of people will be doing this before double game week 25. You guys can see that Mo Salah does have a double in 25 of Crystal Palace away and Wolves at home. So 100%, if you guys want to prolong this to 25, that could be the strategy to go for. But some FPL managers actually want to do this move this week, and I do think it's because Mo Salah scored in game week 23 and De Bruyne hasn't. Now De Bruyne does have a fixture tonight, so please pay attention to that one. They are facing Arsenal in a massive clash, so whatever happens in that game could actually sway this decision. But in terms of the kind of holistic approach, I don't think I would be doing this move at all. The only reason I would do this move is that if you guys think that De Bruyne might be benched before the Champions League fixture. So if you guys don't know, Man City are facing Arsenal tonight. They then play on Saturday against Nottingham Forest. Then they play the following Wednesday against Leipzig in Germany. So what some people have been saying, I'll talk about it with HAALAND later on, there might be some rotation with that Champions League game in mind. But going back to the kind of De Bruyne to Salah move, I wouldn't do this, yet again reiterating, I wouldn't do this move unless we do get news about De Bruyne's benching, or if you are pretty confident that he will miss the Nottingham Forest game. It's simply too good of a fixture to ignore, and when you do see that Mo Salah faces Newcastle away, Newcastle, one of the best defenses in the Prem at the moment, so that's going to be a super tough game away from home. So that's just my 2 cents, but obviously I would do this move before double game week 25, which I think the majority of you guys are going to do anyways. But if you guys do disagree with me, if you think De Bruyne has been an absolute stinker, which I can agree with, but honestly, I wouldn't probably do this move unless I was confident of De Bruyne's benching. Now the final talking point to go over in this ultimate guide is going to be, like usual, we're going to talk about captaincy, and this week, it's actually a super interesting debate. The reason that debate is going to be because the most popular option every game week so far might actually be rotated. The option I'm obviously talking about is going to be Erling Haaland. He does face Nottingham Forest away like Kevin De Bruyne, but when he just came off injured in the previous fixture, and with a tighter kind of fixture congestion, is he going to actually start? So I'll mention this is my current thinking, that if you do think that Haaland starts this one, I would definitely captain him because this fixture is too good to ignore, and even 60 minutes could be enough for Haaland to absolutely haul. But there might be some rotation. We saw Haaland coming off injured in that Aston Villa game. Will he be managed before the Champions League away in Germany? I can't really tell you that. Obviously tonight's game might have an impact on that, but generally I think if he scores tonight, most people will still be on him for captaincy. But let's just say that you do think that Haaland might be rotated. Maybe Pep says something that Alvarez will play instead of Haaland in his press conference. Unlikely, but let's just say that it does happen. Who are the other options to potentially consider? Well, the first option is a pretty obvious one. In massive goal scoring form at the moment, facing a Leicester side that aren't too great at defending, it's going to be Marcus Rashford. Now yes, you could go for Bruno Fernandes, but I don't think there's any reason to go for him over Rashford, as Rashford has better form and is a better FPL asset. So he's a great captaincy option, might even outperform Haaland if they both play 90 minutes, so he would be heavily on my radar. But another asset that you could potentially look at is going to be Harry Kane against the West Ham at home side that haven't been defending too well. Now with Harry Kane, I know that Spurs aren't playing well at the moment, and that's why I probably wouldn't captain him, but still an option that you guys could consider. In terms of the fixtures though, I do prefer Rashford and Haaland over Kane, but Kane has been pretty consistent this season, and if you want a consistent option, he could be your man. Now to kind of make things a little bit easier, let's go over to the projected points. I obviously used Fixers projected points, but these three are on top for most projection websites. So in terms of the projected points, Haaland is projected to score the most with 6.4, Harry Kane up next with 6.1, and then finally Marcus Rashford with 5.3. Now I don't really agree with the Rashford projected points there. I think that he should probably be second after Haaland. So if I had to kind of use an algorithm, that's what I would say, but maybe you should actually trust the algorithm from Fix. So in terms of my kind of captaincy order, I would go for Haaland if you think he's going to start. As I said, even 60 minutes should be good enough. Then Marcus Rashford as a second place, and finally Harry Kane at third. But if you are basing your thoughts on the projected points, you would have Kane over Rashford, which could be what you're going to go for. So let me know in the comments down below, who are you captaining for the upcoming game week, and how many options do you own tonight in the Man City vs Arsenal fixture? I own 6. I have Saka, Odegaard and White from Arsenal, then finally I've got Haaland, Mahrez and Ake from Man City. So let's hope that we do get a massive amount of points, but I think I doubt that slightly. But that's basically wrap up the video, guys. Hope you did enjoy it. Please don't like if you didn't subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. I'll be seeing you guys for the team selection tomorrow after the Man City vs Arsenal game. So fingers crossed we are on a green arrow by then. But I'm yourselves, Dayvy FPL, and I'm out. Cheers, bye.